This is Gilbert Andrew Garcia. Listen to my radio show, A Tip from Gilbert. Talk, inspiration, and prayer every Monday from 11 a.m. till noon on Houston's gospel leader, KWWJ. 1360 AM and streaming live on kwwj.org. Listen on the legendary KYOK 1140 AM and streaming live on kyokradio.org. KCOH 1230 AM, The Source. On San Geek Radio 95.1 FM 1460 AM. And Aliento Radio 101.7 FM and 1540 AM. Call in at 832-570-8075 and follow me on social media. See you then. I just want to say, Houston, this is a tip from Gilbert. Talk, inspiration, and prayer. You know, I'm going to have you on my show to talk about that because that's something very near and dear to me. And so let me just, last word. What do you want to say, Houston, besides number one, and I'll say it for you, early vote tomorrow. Houston, you got to vote. Houston, Harris County, you got to vote. You know, my mom always said, if you don't vote, don't complain. And so please, we got to vote and go all the way down the ballot, up and down, because these judicial courts have, you know, the lives and livelihoods of people in their hands, and you want good, qualified people who have a sense of humanity in them and just a spiritual element to them. And so ultimately, you got to vote. So again, early voting goes from tomorrow to what day again, Viv?
It goes from tomorrow to March the 1st.
To March the 1st. And then election day is what day again?
March 5th.
March 5th. It's going to be
March 5th.
It's going to be here right before we know it. Ms. Viv, I'm going to give you the last word.
Thank you so much. So please, voters, think about my qualifications. Go to page 4 of the ballot. It's a long ballot.
Yeah.
And so you do have to go down. It starts with the federal offices, the congressional offices, the state representative offices, before you get to the courts. And we have 45 courts dedicated just to criminal. All of them are not on the ballot this time, but we have about 150 courts. So please go to page 4. I'm at the bottom left of the ballot. I'm number 1. I have 2 opponents. I'm number 1 on the ballot, Vivian King. Vote Vivian King, Vivian King, Vivian King for a better judiciary system. Thank you.
Thank you for calling in, and I wish you very, very well. And call in again. We have a couple more shows before Election Day.
All right. Thank you so much for having me. And I'll get with you about my Truth and Justice show. Okay?
Amen.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right. We got another caller already waiting, and I know she's been waiting. Is Angie there? Do we lose her?
No.
Angie, are you there?
Yeah, you here? Angie? Okay, let me tell you.
Hold on. We have another candidate coming on the line right now. Angie, are you there?
She's there.
Angie, are you there?
I am, Gilbert. Hello.
Hi, I'm so sorry it took you so long. I took so long to get you in the queue. We've had a very busy day already, but I wanted to just give you plenty of airtime. Thank you for calling in. And before we go to your race, Houston, I happen to know Angie a little bit because she works with one of the most amazing organizations that, in my opinion, is changing the face of home ownership in America, all over America. And, of course, they're moving heavy into Houston. And what I mean by that is they are there providing low-income, below-market rate funds for people to buy homes. And they qualify you right on the spot. It's phenomenal. And soon they're going to be going into prefabricated homes themselves. So I think it's awesome. It's called NACA. And so, Angie, I'm going to give you time to talk about your race, but talk about NACA a little bit. How long have you been with them, and how many houses have you housed people in the last, couple of years?
Absolutely, Gilbert. Thank you for having me on the show. And yes, I am National Director here at NACA. That stands for Neighborhood Assistance Corporation of America. And what that is, it is a affordable home ownership program. But it's two sides of the spectrum. It's affordable home ownership for those who already have a home, but has obtained an unaffordable mortgage. So if you're currently in a home and your mortgage is unaffordable and you need to get your loan modified to an affordable interest rate and an affordable payment, we can help you with that. Just go to www.naca.com or call 425-602-6222, and they can help you get your loan modified today.
And I have seen the operation. I'll never forget. I went. It was packed. It was here in Houston, and I walked in, and it was like the most organized thing I've ever seen, with people behind computers. There must have been 100 computers with people there putting in their data. There were counselors there. It was like you go from what do you call it? Station 1 to station number 2 to station number 3, and then there was a whole group in the back with about 200 or 300 people to hear all about it, how it works. I mean, it was phenomenal, Houston. I didn't mean to cut you off. I think you said you were going to say number 2.
Okay. No, and number 2 is the process that you're describing right now. For those of you, and please listen to this. For those of you who are renting and you are experiencing exorbitant rent prices, rent has almost doubled in some markets. And Houston is one of them, where you're literally paying more for rent, and you could be actually affording or paying for a mortgage or a home. But if you are facing high rent rates, this is the program for you, because guess what? We do not look at your credit score. This is not a program that's credit score driven. The spirit behind the program is that if you can afford to pay rent, you can afford to pay that same amount in a mortgage. And what we do at NACA, we sit you with our counselors. You go through a workshop that talks to you about the documents that are required, how to get qualified, how your rental payment can now get you demonstrated credibility of showing that you can afford to pay a mortgage. We back that into a 30-year mortgage, and there you go. You go out house shopping.
And just remember what that means, Houston, because then you're creating wealth for yourself, your family, your heirs, because rather than just paying rent, here you are developing equity in the home. You got to do it. Well, Angie, let me ask you, before I go into your campaign mode here, how many houses or housings have y'all done nationally the last, I don't know, couple of years? I mean, give us some sense for the scale of it.
Oh, my goodness. Let me give you Texas. Here in Texas, the state of Texas, just by themselves, we have over 75,000 members in Houston, just in Houston. We have over 250,000 Texas-wide. In the city of Houston, we have pulled over 1,000 homes and prevented over 1,000 homes from going into foreclosure, and that's just over a 5-year period. 1,000 homes from going into foreclosure, but we have made over 1,000 homeowners in the state of Houston, and that's in literally a decade. Over 1,000.
That is beautiful. So then let me ask you this. What has gotten you now here? You're a candidate for state office, for state rep. What's happening?
Yes, and I'm taking this a step further, because if we're able, if through NACA and I'm able to assist in affordable housing, sustainable income, sustainable housing, neighborhood revitalization and preservation, generational wealth, if I'm able to do that using a vehicle at NACA, just think what I would be able to do as your next Texas State Representative for District 139. I'm talking Acres Homes, Independence Heights, Fallbrook, Northgate Forest area, that entire 139 area. I am running to be your next Texas State Representative, District 139. Why? Because it is critical. And if you think about it, Gilbert, everything ends and begins under the rooftop and in the neighborhoods. That's public safety. That's reentry, having a good reentry plan. That's looking at our homelessness and trying to combat homelessness. And I'm not talking about just the people that are out there on the street that we see,
that are facing homelessness or living through homelessness. I'm talking about the people that can't afford rent anymore and having to move in with family members. They're
Hmm.
homeless. So we need to come up with a plan, and there is a plan in place. All I need to do is get to that state where we can take care of legislation and amend some current bills, repeal some other bills, especially when you're talking about having the government say what you can and cannot do with your body. That's a whole story in itself. That's a
Hmm.
show by itself, Gilbert. But Angie Thibodeau is fighting for you, and I'm willing to go to the state. I've had 25 years of corporate and private and public sector experience where I know how to cross the lines, talk to people, collaborate, communicate, and negotiate. That was what you'll get with Angie Thibodeau.
Wow. I like how that all sounded. Let me ask you this. So you're running. Is this the old Jarvis Johnson seat?
It is. Thank you for asking. You know, Jarvis Johnson did a great job as Texas State Representative in District 139, but he has resigned from that position, and he's actually going out for the Senate District 15. That's Whitmire's old seat. So it is now a vacant seat for 139, and I'm going for it.
Amen. Good
We're
for
going
you.
for it.
And what do you think are the top issues, things that he never was able to get to that you're putting at the top of the list?
You know what? I think reentry and public safety is going to be first and foremost, but our schools and education system, I want to bring that back to the landing pad. And so oftentimes when we get elected, we actually want people to come to us. Well, you didn't let us know. You should have called my office. I don't want that. I'm going to keep coming back to you as the landing pad. I'm going to go to my civic clubs and organizations in my schools to partner with them to find out what are the issues that plague our schools. Livable wage income, teachers' pay is one of the biggest things that we need to combat and put at the forefront. Because guess what? I refuse to have another parent-teacher meeting with a teacher that's telling me she's working 2 jobs.
Oh,
so
my
what
goodness.
Exactly. So what kind of service she's going to give to the kids?
The other thing you hear are teachers that have to go buy their own school supplies and things for their kids.
Absolutely.
I hear that all the time.
Absolutely.
And that's a labor of love. Well, let me ask you this. So are you on the circus? Is there lots of different community meetings and super neighborhood and things? Are you out there on the stump?
It never stops.
Yeah.
I have gone to HOA meetings, civic club meetings. It's a big territory to cover.
Yes.
I've tackled 6 and 7 churches in one Sunday. I'm going wherever the community is calling me, I'm showing up. But the biggest thing I can do is knock on those doors and introduce myself. Some already know who I am because I'm embedded in the fabric of the community, but reintroduce myself and let them know I'm fighting for you, and it's not going to stop. You're not going to find anybody that's going to outwork me.
Amen. So how many candidates are there?
There are
in the
5,
Democratic, this is in the
Mhm.
Democratic primary.
It is. There are a total of 5 in the race. I'm number 1 on the ballot, but there's 5 of us.
Do you think that it's achievable to win outright or not? Or is it the math is going to just require runoff?
You know what? Everybody is saying the math is going to require a runoff because with 5 candidates running, it's just hard to split those votes.
Yeah.
But I am optimistic and I'm confident that from February 20th through March 1st, we're going to show up and show out our GOTV efforts and get people activated, motivated, and empowered to go.
There you go.
Vote.
Because you know
Don't sit there.
Don't listen to what the people, the pundits say. At the end of the day, you what they say in track and field, you run through the tape. You got to run through the tape. You don't sort of slow down right there at the finish line. You got to run through that tape.
Exactly. I was so happy that Jarvis Johnson threw that baton back. He's running his race for Senate District 15, and he threw that baton back, and I'm right there. I'm catching it.
Woo!
I'm going to catch it.
Well, that is great. Well, I want you to call in again because there's another, I don't know, at least 1 or 2 shows between here and Election Day. And that way you can just let everybody know what's happening. I want to talk a little bit more about NACA. Maybe you get some other stats for us to share. And
Absolutely.
then go ahead. And I want to give you the last word on what's your website and everything like that. So everyone knows how to, where your calendar is, where you are, how they can give money. Yeah.
Absolutely. You can go to www.thibodeaufortexas.com. That's THIBODEAUX the number 4, and Texas. And if you don't know how to spell it, just Google Angie Thibodeau. Spell it the best way you can. If you Google me, it's going to pop up. Angie Thibodeau for Texas. My campaign is going to be out. We're going to do a canvas, a parade of neighborhoods. Fallbrook, Acres Homes, Independence Heights, and North Forest, Northgate Forest. We're going to be all over, but my campaign office is right off of Torrey Chase and Veterans Memorial. If you come 1960 and Torrey Chase, you'll see the big sign that says Thibodeau for Texas. I want you guys to be encouraged, be motivated to vote. And Gilbert, I am not going to end without thanking you and your gracious staff for always putting your best foot forward to be a part of the fabric in the community. Brother, keep doing what you're doing because it matters.
Well, I tell you what, I'm hugging you in cyberspace right now. I really mean it. And I just feel the energy. And, that's what it takes. You got to love it. You got to live it, because being a state rep is hard, especially during session. People think, oh, they only work 6 months every 2 years. That's not true. And those 6 months are just intense. I mean, it's almost 24/7. I know what it's like. Those state reps are sleeping in their office because they're working so late and they got to wake up first thing in the morning. So
I'm built for it.
Oh, there you go. Well, Miss Angie, thank you for calling, and please call again.
Thank you. You guys be blessed.
Yes,
Bye-bye.
You too. Let me see the list there again. Okay, let's get Miss Patricia Cabrera. Lots of callers today. Let's try to field them all. Miss Cabrera, is that you? Miss Pat? Miss Patricia? Miss Matricia?
How are you, Gilbert?
This is Gilbert Garcia, tip from Gilbert. You are now live on 5 stations. I want to know what you have for us here on this fine Monday.
Well, thank you. I had to squeeze this issue into at least the last minutes of your program. But I know this is a very good platform to get our concerns out. And I represent a group of residents and organizations in the East End called the East End Community. And in November 28th, we found out that the Greyhound station was moving from Midtown to Magnolia Park, which is the neighborhood where we work. And it was a total surprise. None of the elected officials said they didn't know about it. The residents certainly didn't know about it. And everyone has known what problems have surrounded that station for years. And so to move it from a business district, let's say, into a residential area was just a real blow to the community.
Let me ask you something. I'm already, as they say, hot under the collar here. I'm already hot under the collar here. So you mean to tell me Greyhound, and I've been there, I've seen it, and I've driven by here because I work downtown, and I see a lot of, people, just undesirable types just hanging around this thing. You mean to tell me they have moved from Midtown, right in the middle of sort of industrial downtown, to the neighborhood where the kids are walking around and playing?
Right on Harrisburg Boulevard, which is Harrisburg and Wayside. And let me tell you that just the logistics just don't even make sense. There were 15 bus bays at the Midtown station. They had been operating on a very small scale out of Magnolia Park, but there are 4 bus bays. They moved their headquarters from Midtown into Magnolia Park. So how they're going to keep that traffic, what goes out to the departing buses go to New Orleans, to Dallas. It's not just a local service. And the buses have not a whole lot of room to maneuver. In fact, the station backs into 3 residences right there. They share a fence. There are 3 schools, elementary schools in the very near vicinity. When the buses turn around, they're supposed to turn behind the station on Capitol, if you know the area. But some of the residents said no, they turned on Canal, which goes right in front of Franklin Elementary. So it was the concerns in the neighborhood are the traffic, the crime that might come in from the area, and it does, because the people who ride, there's a diverse group of people who ride Greyhound buses, but among them are releasees from the Texas prison system. Just people who are very vulnerable, and there are drug dealers and you know, a bad element, a criminal element.
Well, let me ask you this. First of all, hold on. I got to get this. So there were 16 bays in the normal bus depot in Midtown, right?
Yeah.
Okay. 15 or 16. I'm sorry. 15. And then now there are 4.
Yeah.
So that means they're going to have the buses in and out much more often to have the same bus load as there were when you have 15 bays.
Well, they've Greyhound at first was the elected officials stayed on them. State Senator Carol Alvarado stayed on them to have some communication, because they weren't returning calls from anyone, even from the mayor. And so they have promised the community that there's a limited number of departures that will leave and arrivals from that station. But you know, I don't know. I mean, they never even alerted their clients to say they were moving. So I'm not sure how they're going to decrease the traffic.
And how do you just wake up and move? I mean, how does that happen? Shouldn't there have been some sort of, I don't know, community meeting about, okay, we're going to do this. So, you know, what can we do to, you know, make it safe, have more maybe crossing guards or more lights or something, or security? You know, I mean, there's just no hearings, no nothing. It was just bam, you woke up and then they were.
It was the most disrespectful move I can imagine. I can't even imagine anything more disrespectful. Let me say that. Yes, I think that if they were already operating there with a few departures, then they're already part, or you would consider them part of the neighborhood. You would think that they would have at least alerted the elected officials to talk about increased police coverage, or just how we direct traffic in the area. But it wasn't. We heard about it on the Tuesday, the 28th. Thursday, they were opening.
Come on.
Operating.
Well, you know, I saw a little blurb in the Chronicle, I don't know, somewhere, I don't know, in December or something. And, you know, I didn't think anything of it because it didn't look, you know, but now that I'm hearing it and I'm thinking, holy cow, once again, things happen and they just move these things right in the part of the, you know, the community that they think, you know, the people of color, because they don't vote or whatever. And then there they are. They just bam. That's just outrageous.
It was what we found out later. So we in the neighborhood didn't find out until within 2 days. But as we peel the onion away, right, and over the holidays, several of the elected officials met with some of the Greyhound staff, and they said, well, we communicated with the mayor's office as far back as April or July, and at a more recent community meeting, they said that they received a letter from the mayor's office telling them they needed to move. So it's hard for me to believe that if the mayor's office issued that letter, Greyhound acted on it, that there wouldn't be dialogue about, well, where are you moving to, right?
Right.
So I'm not really sure where the communication breakdown occurred, but this has been happening all over the country. We're not the only city that this has happened to. Greyhound had, over COVID, they lost a lot of their business, and so they have sold like parts of their real estate to one group and their buses to a German company. And so they, in other cities where they tried to move in, there was a city in Columbus, maybe Ohio, the mayor and the city attorney are suing Greyhound for having done this because it creates and they moved it into an area that is residential, I believe. And so, it just doesn't make sense that in Houston, we wouldn't have had a better alternative, some options discussed if there was enough time to discuss other areas. In other cities, they have chosen to operate like the megabus operates, like curb service, which is not good for the passengers, but it didn't have to be in a residential neighborhood.
And there should have just been a lot more. I mean, you want to be a good neighbor. So there should have been a lot more. What are the concerns of the community? How can we make this better? You know what? I want you on the show. I think you need to be on the show because this is something, we've taken on some tough issues on this show, and we seem to have had a lot of success of getting people, tearing down some of these big things that were creating bike lanes. We got some sound ordinances done on Washington Avenue. We got help with the food of not bombs people, and then all of a sudden now, they can do the things that they want to do. We talked about cameras, getting more cameras in jail because people are just dying while they're incarcerated, and we had some success there. I want to have you on the show because I think we should talk about it, and people need to know.
Yes, we would appreciate it. We know that the people have power, but a lot of people don't know the details, and we need others to listen and understand because this happened in Magnolia Park, but it could have happened in any other neighborhood.
That's exactly right. I'm going to have you back. So you stay on because I got 1 minute. I got to do a couple of quick things, but and then I'm going to have my producer talk to you about coming on. I just wanted to say, Houston and anyone listening to me, we just got to pray for society. When you can have a wonderful church like Lakewood have the incident that they had, and you can have these families just wanting to enjoy a Super Bowl parade, just like we did with the Astros, and then all these kids being shot. There's something wrong. And so we just need a prayer to just make people just understand humanity, and we got to stop the madness. I really give it up to Pastor Osteen because he could have been bitter. He could have had all these feelings, but instead there he was forgiving. It's just amazing. And so I just want to say, Houston, this is a tip from Gilbert. Talk inspiration and prayer. I'm going to talk so much because I want to come back to Metro because the mayor has said that buses tear up streets. Well, of course they do, but there's, 1,200 buses in the whole fleet. We have 660 square miles with thousands and thousands and thousands of cars, buses, deliveries, you name it, 18-wheelers. Come on, let's be serious. So this is a tip from Gilbert saying, we will see you next time. This is Gilbert Andrew Garcia. Listen to my radio show, A Tip from Gilbert. Talk, inspiration, and prayer every Monday from 11 a.m. till noon on Houston's gospel leader, KWWJ. 1360 AM and streaming live on kwwj.org. Listen on the legendary KYOK 1140 AM and streaming live on kyokradio.org. KCOH 1230 AM, The Source. On San Geek Radio 95.1 FM 1460 AM. And Aliento Radio 101.7 FM and 1540 AM. Call in at 832-570-8075 and follow me on social media. See you then.